Hey, good morning, how are you? This is Bob, Bob's Daily Devo, and I'm still Bob, but I haven't been doing it daily. Sorry about that. It's one of those things. There's always a reason. I wanted to write today, I'd like to write. Used to sit at the computer and write, but I haven't touched my computer in a long time. Life is spinning way faster than I can keep up with. And I'm grateful for my phone that allows me to kind of work on the road, work on the deal. Today I'm over here and on the side of the highway. I'm still not at home on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, every other Thursday, still out. And the estate sale that I was going to work this morning was postponed due to Super Bowl Sunday coming up here in a couple days. So my schedule is really, but tonight I'll have to get to bed really early. I'll be back in the same spot. It's authorized by the LAPD, and it's a spot to stay in your car overnight. So I'm here. And I just wanted to say that, let me get this to where it's right here. Hang on. I'm switching positions here. I just wanted to say that I noticed this word weaponized because, you know, the impeachment and all, and so if I can get this lighting right here. So weaponizing anything can be weaponized. Anything can be weaponized. Did I mention that anything can be weaponized. Anything at all can be used as a weapon. You can use a wet noodle. That's the famous one, right? Oh, don't hit me with that wet noodle. You know, it's all soft and swishy. It's not going to hurt anybody. So, mistakes in the family, let's say. Let's say you have a brother or sister, mom or dad, husband or wife, cat or dog, whatever it is. And they mess up. Well, as a parent, when my child messes up, I want to give them, you know, appropriate consequences. But let's say it's your spouse. Do we need to punish our spouse? Do we need to give them appropriate consequences? We're gonna teach you a lesson. Let that be a lesson to you. This whole idea that the stick is the stick. The stick is the solution. You know, spare the rod, spoil the child. That's what they used to say, right? Well, maybe that's the answer. Maybe, maybe it is the right thing to do to, use punishment sometimes. And I'm going down the road and I run through several stop signs, and finally I find a stop sign where there's a motor officer on his bike, and, you know, he pulls me over and, sir, license, registration. And, you know, I give my license, registration. He says, you know why I pulled you over? And I go, sir, please tell me. And he said, well, you ran the stop sign. You know, you didn't even try to stop. That's reckless driving. And just, well, guess what? It's going to be a ticket. He could really, theoretically, you know, impound the car and take me away and be like, that'd be consequences. Just recently here, they've tried to impeach President Trump. They want to give him consequences for investigating Joe Biden, Hunter Biden, and Burisma, and they thought, well, we'll pressure. They had several stories. They wanted to pressure, the Ukraine president to do this investigation, because it was, of course, happening in Ukraine. And you know, at one point, they said, well, you know, just make an announcement, just so you can. And they were famous for saying he was trying to cheat in the election. He was trying to to, make Joe Biden look bad so he can have a better chance at winning. And it doesn't really sound like that's necessary. I mean, poor Joe Biden, he's a nice old fellow, but, look at my legs, and the children are touching my legs. They like it. Like, crazy. And I'm glad to be here in the state of Minnesota. It's Iowa, sir. Oh, Iowa, yeah, Iowa. He's kind of a bumbling old man, and he was pushing somebody here a couple days ago, just pushing him. The guy didn't agree with him, and he was pushing him, and, so it's kind of a debate whether, but the point is that they punish the president, but the president just seems to be thriving. I mean, he's just like going gangbusters there, and that's very interesting. We're off the point. The point is punishment. Is that a good idea? Well, there are times that it can be. There are times when, if someone, there's the guy that we saw recently that robbed banks. He was a little African-American man, and he'd go in with a little note and say, your money in your life. No, he wouldn't say that. He wanted money. Maybe he wasn't really using a weapon or anything, so the judge just kept popping him out, because New York had this new law. There's no bail because it wasn't a violent crime. Well, finally the federal government stepped in, and they took him away, and he's in jail now. So, but he was a good example of someone who is not changing, not adjusting, not repentant. But if you have a son or a daughter, and let's say, the classic story, the one that you always get, the one you get at every jury duty I've ever been at, where I've made it, where I've made it into the jury pool. They go, now listen. Your son, he's got all these crumbs around his mouth, and his fingers are covered with chocolate. And you go to the cookie jar, and you see the cookie jar is missing a cookie. You had 3 cookies, now there's 2 cookies. And there's your son, big grin on his face. And he's got the crumbs, and he's got the chocolate, and, you just know, circumstantially, you just know he must have been the one eating the cookie. But as a juror, you can't make that assumption. We have to prove that your son was the one that ate the cookie. So it could be that he just had a piece of toast, and that, his neighbor person gave him a Hershey's Kiss, and he was hanging on to it and licking it, and, so it doesn't necessarily add up that he stole the cookies. There are other explanations. There was a chance time when a neighbor, had this neighbor over all the time, and they were always friendly and real nice. Everybody was good. The one day the couple drove in, they said, gee, weren't there some baskets up there? Weren't there some kind of containers? And where are they? Well, it's the old neighbor. He's been here every day. He must have taken them. Making this assumption. And assumptions, as you know, you're making out of you and me. So it's not good to make assumptions. It's not needed to make assumptions. Let's take the case of the husband and the wife. The husband and the wife. Here's my ring. Yay. So, if my wife and I have a disagreement, let's say my wife messes up somehow, what's the classic treatment for that? The silent treatment. I'm just not going to talk to you. I'm going to withhold intimacy privileges. I'm going to, there's ways to just put the screws on. And what would be the goal of that if I were to do that? Well, I want to change your behavior. I'm going to give her the 1, 2, 1, 2. Yeah, that'll straighten her out. Well, it might straighten her out. It probably just hurt her. It probably just caused her to have hurt feelings. And why is my husband ignoring me? And why is he not talking to me? And why is he not texting me back? And what is the deal? Where'd my husband go? That's the way of doing it. You can't do it that way. The old silent treatment, The old joke is that I think it's from Kill Bill, is that the guy, the really bad guy who was there helping to bury Uma Thurman in that shallow grave. It wasn't that shallow, really. She amazingly punched her way out and got out, but he was like, well, they give us the silent treatment. We pretend that we don't like it, and he's winking, and he likes the silent treatment. Another treatment could be just inundating the person just with text. I'm going to text you until my little fingers are blue, and my voice is hoarse from talking to Siri. And so, but what I want to propose today is I want to propose that we have a robe of forgiveness, a robe of understanding, a robe and a hat and gloves of grace and kindness. Wouldn't it be nice to be married to a spouse that had the robe of grace and kindness and love and forgiveness? Yeah, but you don't understand. They never put the toothpaste tube on. They never put the seat down. They make big mistakes. My spouse, they just left me there. They didn't tell me nothing. They just walked away. All right. Did they say they were sorry? Did they explain themselves? Well, yeah, they explained, but that didn't excuse it. And I got to tell them, if they have an explanation as to what they were thinking, and you were thinking something different, and it really is just a matter of understanding, they thought one thing, and let's say that that I waved at my wife. I waved, and my wife said, "Oh, he's telling me to go ahead. He's waving me on. He's go ahead, dear. I'll catch up with you." That could be a rationality. So, well, I see they were waving. That meant that, he was waving to go ahead, you go ahead. That could be understandable. And so then at the end of the trail, I'm all upset and I'm angry, I'm crying. I'm like, oh, you left me behind. I don't want to miss the party. That's my thing. I don't want to miss the party. I don't want to be left alone. Well, we're not talking about hours or even probably 10 minutes. I mean, slightly ahead, and you had to walk a little bit on your own, and it's not good. And what did the wife say? Well, the wife told me, well, I thought you waved me on, and and let's say the wife has done this several times. There's been different times, and maybe she got really mad and she walked away, and let's forget that. Any sort of infringement, any sort of misunderstanding in the marriage, you can use a stick, or you can just say, "Come here, baby, come here. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry." And if you have no words, you just say, "I love you. I love you." There's a famous Shriners commercial right now, and the young person is coming up with a way to say thank you to all the people who support Shriners Hospital. And I'm in Los Angeles, and he comes to the end, he says, "Well, really, just thank you. And I love you." And then the other kid that's directing the meeting goes, right on. That's right on. And it really is right on. Our job is to love the Lord with all of our heart, love our neighbors ourselves. Just the two things. I got this cough that I have. So, yeah, there's 10 commandments. You know, the impeachment House managers just presented 28,000 pages of information. They had 18 different witnesses. Don't tell me it's 17. It's actually 18. They cut one out. So they had all that information, but really it comes down to love the Lord with all your heart, love your neighbor as yourself. That's really the bottom line. And so for my spouse, for my dear, lovely, wonderful, awesome wife, I married my wife. I did not want to be with her if I didn't marry her. I told her that. I said, we cannot be together if we're not going to get married. And, you know, a long-time girlfriend or no. And my wife, she's done some things, nothing horrible ever. I mean, and one time though, she lost her keys in the car and she was just convinced that, oh my God, she was like losing her mind. You're going to have to break the window. You're going to be so upset. And she'd been traumatized earlier by a prior relationship. And she felt as though, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And so my response was, it's okay, sweetie. You know, I'll just call AAA and they'll be over and I'll open the door and that'll be it. You know, easy cheesy. I can't think of anything that my wife could possibly do. I remember I had an ex-wife who confessed to, I won't even get into it. That's how bad it was. It was really bad. It was like, and my initial response was, well, we'll just wait a few months and we'll work this out and, you know, it's not so bad. Of course, that woman, hi Bill, no, my ex-wife, she turned out, you know, she never did come back. She ended up over the next few days in that time of my life to explain she had a condo that, you know, the person she ended up marrying had gotten for her, and she, you know, wanted some space. And she wanted me to simplify, and she wanted me to cut back, and there's too much clutter, and you know, why don't I go on medication, and all these different things. And yet my heart the whole time, you know, for years was open and ready to forgive and ready to love. Eventually, it was over. I mean, she had remarried and, you know, she obviously was not coming home and she made it real clear. And then I grew through that. I grew to where I was like, I don't deserve to be treated so horribly. I mean, you know, she just really would not, she just went berserk and was always going kind of crazy and a little upset, and I don't need all that. And she'd already left and married someone else. So basically, you know, if someone leaves, they marry someone else, I guess that's a pretty good signal that they're gone, you know. So I ended up remarrying, and my wife is a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful person. And I do my best every single day. I'm not perfect at it, that's for sure. I'm not. I get mad, I get steamed, you know. Remember Ralph Cramden? I'm steamed, Alice, I'm steamed. Well, I get steamed sometimes, yeah, but I make it my goal, and I'm sure that my wife will see this video and she'll be like, oh no, you're all wrong. And I'll try to listen to her. I'll try to make sure that, you know, she understands, you know, that I understand. And so when I mess up, when I screw up, when I blow it, I'm not looking to weaponize the problem. You know, well, you did this and you did that, and why didn't you? You know, Like, let's go back to the situation where we were hiking, let's say, and my wife is ahead, and all of a sudden I have a panic attack, and I'm like, where is she? And I'm calling, I'm screaming, and nobody's responding. We're on this, curvy mountain road, and no one is listening. I'm just like, so I finally catch up, and she's smiling and in the car, and, she's just like, hi, can you pick you up? I'm thinking, Lenny, are you dirty man? I was screaming and crying for you. Why didn't you help me? Oh my God, I felt so alone. Well, my wife explains to me that the baby was crying. My little Rosie girl, she can be loud. She was screaming and crying and yelling and kicking. Yeah, she was done with Ike. And so my wife had all that in her ear. My wife had her mind towards getting to the top of the, there was a hike where you had to slide down and then hike back up. So she was focused on getting out of there, and focused on the baby, and focused on just getting to I want to get her, and I'd already waved, So she thought, she had the blessing to go. Well, my wife explains all that to me, even though one time she got really, really mad and she walked out of the, no. It doesn't make any difference what happened in the past. In this present situation, because I'm a human being and my wife's a human being and the baby's a human being, we're all humans, we're all people that mess up. My job, my duty, my obligation, what the Lord say? To love my wife as I love the Lord. If God messed up, God doesn't mess up, but if God did mess up, I would just, you forgave me, Lord. The Lord forgave me for everything. I mean everything. All of our worst sins. Even, Hitler had Mussolini, Stalin, Mao, the worst of the worst human beings on the earth. If they had, come to faith in Christ before their death, if Hitler had not killed himself, and, if they said, you know what? I never heard this gospel of Jesus Christ. I never realized the blood of Jesus could cover all my sins. Obviously, they would still face the death penalty. Obviously, they would have been in jail for the remainder of their lives. Obviously, they'd have penalties if they could have been held to justice. But the thing is that before the Lord, we don't have to, the punishment would be reasonable. The punishment would be understandable. It wouldn't just be this random, wild-eyed, I'm going to get them mentality, weaponizing a problem. That's really what I'm saying today. Let's stop weaponizing problems. If things are a problem, if there's a problem somehow, if there's a difficulty, if there's a challenge, let's not weaponize it. It may take time to heal, obviously, and I might have to tell my wife, say, look, I'm really hurt. I'm really upset. I don't have any words. I'm just like, give me some time. All right. A little space, a little time. That makes sense. So my wife would probably, but it has to be reasonable. It cannot just be, 13 years later, I think I'm done now. I'm ready to talk. It's a little much, The Lord can and will. His blood, His breath. The only reason I have breath, we lost Kobe just 7 days ago. Actually 6 days ago. Last Sunday. And today's Saturday. So we lost Kobe, and it bears saying that every moment we have to be together. Let's be together. You know, let's not look at the pie chart. Imagine this pie chart. You know, what do we do in our lifetimes? Well, we spent so much time sitting on the toilet. We spent so much time eating. We spent so much time sleeping. We spent so much time working. What if we threw in there in our family time? We spent so much time paying the person back. I'm going to pay you back. I'm going to argue with you. I'm going to beat you into the ground. I'm going to use my stick. And we're like, we have precious few minutes together. Wouldn't you rather have more time of holding the hand? Wouldn't you have more time of embracing? Wouldn't you have more time of sharing wonderful pictures? Wouldn't you have more time of telling your spouse you love them? Wouldn't you have more time if you loved, were thankful? In my family, I've directed, as a husband of the family, I've directed that if there's a complaint, there needs to be four Thanksgivings. A complaint should be preceded by 4 things that you're thankful for. Dear, I'm really, really, really thankful that you drove the car up the mountains. I don't like driving the mountains. It kind of makes me feel funny. Sweetheart, thank you so much for packing the bag with cherry soda. That was really sweet at the end. Honey, thank you so much that you packed ice in the containers. The ice was so refreshing on that mountain road. Honey, thank you so much for being willing to carry our baby on your shoulders. And dear, I'm really grateful that you take such good pictures and wonderful for that. Honey, thank you so much for taking the time off of work to be with me today on this special day. Baby doll, I love how you take care of our child, and you do such a good job, and you're so creative and so interesting, and you allow our child to have that special time with you. Honey, thank you so much for letting me know about the flags that you wanted to have put up underneath the window. You know, that was really, really nice if you'd let me know that. Dear, thanks a lot for that rubbing my legs after the long, long day. That was really, really sweet. Baby doll, I'm really appreciative that you make the bed every morning. You take the blower, and you ever do this? Take a blower and blow out the whole bed. You know, because there's crumbs and stuff there. So I blow the whole bed out. I just take a blower and just Where do you live, Bob? You have to blow the bed out with a blower. I don't have to, but I like to have no crumbs. I'm like the princess and the pea. So, you know, my wife could say, well, I'm thankful that you blow the bed out and that you straighten all the sheets and that everything is neat and ready to go when I go to bed. I don't have to, you know, where do we start? You know, I'm thankful that you wash the dishes. I'm thankful that you plant the flowers. My wife planted lettuce, and she planted different little creatures. Not creatures. There goes the cat. My wife buried it. No, I got her these flower beds, and she wanted to have potting soil. Well, thankful that you got the potting soil. She wanted to have, like, thank you that you put the legs on the pot so that they're up high, so I don't have to bend over. That was real nice. Thank you for painting the rails on the fence. Thank you for... So give all those Thanksgivings, and then say, you know, on the hike, I wasn't waving goodbye. I wasn't telling you to go ahead. I was just waving. I didn't intend to. You didn't? I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. So, you know what I'm going to do next time, baby? Even though you're a little bit slower, I'm going to walk, you know, to where I stay within 10, 20 feet of you, and you know, I will call out every few minutes and say, how you doing, sweetie? I'll basically stay within earshot. Because apparently, you know, my wife had been such a good walker. She's much younger than I am. That she just like, and she couldn't hear a word I said. She couldn't hear me. You know, so those things happen. Let's say that, you know, that I mess up somehow, which of course never happens, but no, it happens all the time. And my wife would say, hey, you know, I really don't appreciate it when I don't like, and do you realize what you just said? You just called me. I'm so sorry, dear. I'm so sorry. I wasn't thinking that way. I didn't understand. Yeah, but you do it all the time, Bob. You're just a big screw up. You're always messing it up, messing it up, messing it up. You're a big mess up. Yeah, it's called being human. Our best efforts are filthy rags. Peter asked, how many times do we have to forgive him, Lord? 7 times? And Jesus said 7 times 70. 7 times 70. How many is that? Basically, the Lord just said, just keep forgiving. But he did it again, Lord. He did it again. Well, maybe that's not their strong point. Maybe you're stronger there. So reach out and be forgiving and be kind. I got some kindness yesterday. I'm an usher, and I went to my ushering job, and I'd misread the schedule. I was convinced it said 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock, you know, starts at 7 o'clock. So my goal was to get there before 7. And turned out I misread the email. I even showed the guy, I said, look, it says house staff. He didn't say ushers, he said house staff. I didn't know I was a house staff. I was all mixed up. I was an hour and a half late. Not one person brought out a stick. Even the big man that runs the whole play, he didn't say a word. And then the floor manager that I work under, he was like, okay, let's find a spot. You know, everything was all filled in by then. And he called across to Julia, and, well, you know, and I had a great spot. I was right like 1 aisle off of where I normally am. And it was a whole different event, so I wasn't normally expecting to be in that area, but I was right near the alumni band, and it was like, wow. And not one person, I walked in very sheepishly. I walked in with my tail between my legs. I was like, oh. And yet, they showed forgiveness and grace, you know. Now, but Bob, what if you show up late every single time? Well, then, obviously, then there's going to be consequences. You know, there's going to be a write-up. Dock of pay, maybe. You know, maybe a communication that they're going to put me out, you know, on the outskirts. You know, they're going to do something. What was the other horrible thing was that was yesterday was the first time that I was able to get back down to the position I really wanted to be in. And for one time, they put me up, and I didn't like that. So I wrote back to them, and they graciously, you know, conceded to put me back where I normally was. And here was my first time back where I normally was. I show up an hour and a half late. That was bad. That was bad. I just seemed like, you know, it was like a Charlie Brown day. Everything was just gone. And you know better, Charlie. You know better. But, you know the story of Charlie Brown. It really isn't. It's a bad little tree. You know, it just needs a little love. So, yeah, I just need a little love. And my wife needs a lot of love. And I need a lot of love. And my kids need more love than that. And we just need, you know, the old Beatles song, love, love, love. So, how do we love? Read 1 Corinthians 13. Love is patient, kind. I think the most important part of that is love does not keep track of wrongdoing. Doesn't keep track of wrongdoing. If you're having an argument with your spouse or your friend or your mom or your dad or your brother or sister, and you're like, and remember the time, and this isn't the first time, and I'm going to tell you, that's not important. It's not the first time. That's not important. That's weaponizing your conversation. Better to say, honey, what's going on? Why do you think it's okay to just walk away and leave me standing there? I didn't think of it like that. I lost my awareness. I lost my mind. You know? I didn't mean to do that. Okay, let's pray. Dear Jesus, we pray, God, that you'd help me, God. Help me to not leave my family behind, because I get so excited. Help me to always have a mind to my family, have a heart that's sensitive to my family. Help me to just always be there for my family and be in close proximity. Think of it like this, that if I'm ushering in a certain area and then, where'd he go? That wouldn't be right. If I am serving, and that's my job as a husband, is to serve. If I'm serving my family, and I'm, let's say you're serving at a certain table or whatever, you're a waiter, let's say, and being a husband or a wife is like being a waiter in so many ways. And they're calling, they're looking. You've had that situation. You've been to the restaurant, you can't find anybody. That's not good. No, and as a waiter, I know this really well, and actually, so I really do mess up when I don't do this. But the thing is that I should always zing by, just walk by, and as an usher, I'm always looking up into the crowd, looking, checking it out, being available. I may not have anything to say or anything to do, but I'm always looking. That's my job. I'm supposed to walk the aisles. I'm supposed to make myself available as a person. And I'm really good at it. So when I mess up, it's like, it disappoints me. And let me tell you, just as a wrap up here, because it's getting kind of long, 36:50, a lot of time. It devastates me when I mess up as a husband, because the only goal I have is to make my wife happy. The only goal I have is to make my wife happy. Everything I do, from going to the store and filling up the icebox full of goodies, to raking the yard, to being on time, to texting and sending pictures, my whole goal is to make my wife happy. So if I don't make my wife happy, I messed up. And I don't like to mess up. I like to be successful. I like to be cruising, at a high level. The pilot who died last Sunday, hadn't been a week yet. He was not just some crazy dude in a helicopter, wild-eyed. No, he's a very, very good pilot. And something went wrong. And I'm sure up there in heaven right now with Kobe and his daughter and the other families, it's like, golly, this is a total, parody. This is not what's going to happen. Don't worry. When you get to heaven, how you got there is going to be probably not that important. Basically, you're going to be in the presence of God, and it's going to be amazing. But if he could, he probably was like, oh man, why did I not get that software in my helicopter where I could have sensed the terrain? But maybe that wasn't it. Maybe that we don't know yet. But maybe the helicopter just blew up, and they were going down at a high rate of speed. Maybe there was a glitch in the software. Maybe something was, we don't know. But if there is anything that could be done, obviously, that pilot, me, my wife, my kids, everybody, we have that goal to reach higher and to be better. So let's do that today, shall we? I'm going to quit right here and probably make it an even 40. Give me a call back, would you? I may not answer, but you can text me, 213-713-8954. In fact, to be woke today, you shouldn't call people. You should just text them. That's the new woke thing. I didn't say I agree with it, but you can call or text 213-713-8954. Email 8954green@att.net, on the Twitter, Mr. Bob 8954. And of course, you're watching Bob's Daily Devo. It's been a long one. It's been a good one. Remember, peace, love, grace, kindness, whatever the situation, kick higher, do better, And let's show the love of Christ to everyone we know. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen.